Welcome to Fly Tying Step by Step. We will be tying a black baitfish pattern, a very generic pattern with similar materials that we used on our previous fly, the bass bagger. But for this one I'm going to use a B10S size 4 hook, and I'm going to use a dumbbell 4mm bead. So to start, I'm going to lay a thread base where I will be tying in my bead. The thread base just helps to secure the bead so it doesn't run around. The distance from the eye of the hook is roughly 5mm. So I'm just going to secure it with figure 8 patterns. You can always add a drop of super glue in the mix as well, but I do find if you do it properly with the figure 8, it does not twist at all. Just make sure that it's nice and flat. Then I'm going to continue with my thread wraps to the bend of the hook, where I will be tying in my black zonker strip. I'm using possum, but you can use rabbit or any other zonker strip that you prefer. What I've done here was I've split the hairs into so that I can create a tying point. Round about the shank lengths for the tail. Either fibers are giving you a hard time, just moisten to a little bit and they will behave themselves. Two or three wraps to secure it, and then I can fold that back and 2 or 3 turns in front as well. The tail is short, so I don't need to tie in a guard for the body. Using the same as in my black bass bagger, which is basically a leech pattern. It's a brush that I'm using. So to start, I always trim the edge so that the wire is exposed and you get a very neat tying point. So I'm just going to secure the core of this brush, bring my thread to the front, and now I will make wraps with my brush. The brush is a bit too long, but we will just trim it to the length we require. So as you can see, I always stroke back those fibers so they lie flat to the back, and you can decide how thick you want this body to come out by making touching wraps or just by having more open spirals. I'm not making it too dense, but I also don't want it to be too sparse. So just continue. We'll brush out the fibers when we are done. Just stroking those fibers back, making sure I don't catch them with the next turn. It's a bit time consuming, but it's worth it. When I get to the front, just behind the bead, I will tie it off. Few wraps over it, few wraps in front of it to secure it. And as I always say, just use your helicopter method to break off that wire. Spare your scissors for what they were intended to do. Don't cut your wires. Just a few wraps to secure it again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to part my material on the top. What works very nicely is if you take your dabbing needle, just comb out those fibers. There you can see it's split right down the middle. Now what I do is I bring my zonker back over the fly. And now I will come in with my scissors and just trim my fly. I'm just going to take my thread out of the way and I'm going to cut it at an angle, basically from the dumbbell eye to the bend of the hook, just making a single cut. Any rands and fibers you can just trim out after that. Great, with that done, we can carry on with our dabbing. And also we are going to add a weed guard to this fly. I'm just laying a thread base on the shank of the hook in front of the eyes. So for the head of the fly, I'm going to use a black dabbing, which is also very coarse, also synthetic, and I'm just going to use some beeswax on my thread just to aid me in adding the materials to the thread. Synthetics sometimes dabs a little bit more difficult than natural. So the beeswax just works a charm. I'm not dabbing it on too tightly because I want to brush it out. Add a little bit. Just secure it there. For my weed guard, I'm going to use 30-pound mono. So all I'm going to do here is just flatten the tip. Just makes it easier to tie in, and bend it so that it stands away from the hook shank. You can add super glue if you want. I lay down a thread base in front of the bead for the sole purpose of helping me to secure this mono so it doesn't slip on the hook on the bare hook shank. A few tight wraps to secure it. I'll come in and just do a few behind it as well, just for added strength. And then I'm going to add a little bit of dubbing just to finish off the pattern. Just going to use a little bit less. Can always add more if need be. Going over the bead, underneath it, come back over, and I think that should do it. So now just whip finish it. You can add a little bit of heat cement or super glue just to secure your threads, but I find that if you do a proper whip finish, usually that is not required. Now all that's needed is a good brush. I'm using Velcro, and I'm just going to brush out these materials. Now I can bring back my weed guard, get it back in place, see if I'm happy with it. I'm going to leave these fibers a little bit longer just to create a translucency to the back of the fly. So I'm not going to cut them all out. And there you have it. A black baitfish pattern for largies, for bass, any predatory fish. I'll just go ahead and trim my weed guard and just bend it a little bit. Just make sure that your weed guard is in line with your hook point. There you have it. Black, very effective on the Vaal River. With those dumbbell eyes, they sink quite good, and I believe that you will have great success with this pattern. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up and like, and also visit our Facebook page, Fly Tying Step by Step. Enjoy your fly tying and your fly fishing. Bye.